Well, this one is for the guy who was asking for more IG gameplay. I must admit, I've not had a lot of IG gameplay on the channel recently. Here you go, you get an IG mirror. Is that what you were wanting? I hope so. You might get a little bit of IG 3v3 content as well. I know, maybe that wasn't what you were wanting. Anyway, you got some IG. Here we go. We got Inquisitor, played by Feg. And, is this an F? Why does that look so weird? I can't even see like the line of the F. Very strange. But I think it is. So we've got the Commissar being played by F and the Inquisitor played by Feg. That'll be fun. I don't know who F is, but we'll roll with it. We will roll with it. So we're not seeing any double Kadashan play, which is quite common actually. Well, often I actually see Heavy Weapons team plus one Kadashan with only a one Guardsman open at the moment because, I don't know, I guess Guardsmen have fallen out of the meta. But we're not seeing it here, so that obviously gives the Sentinel a little bit more synergy. However, the Heavy Weapons team can be a very good counter to the Sentinel. So against these sort of compositions, the traditional 2 Guardsmen, 1 Sentinel build in the mirror, I would strongly consider going for a Heavy Weapons team. Because if that helps you versus the Sentinel, and if they go for Kadashans, the Kadashans are only a soft Heavy Weapon team counter. Especially if you go for only 1 Guardsman against this build, you can get your Heavy Weapons team Kadashan combo out extremely quickly, and then you can invest a bit in your hero as well. Though, not really sure what I'd be investing in this particular matchup. I guess the crossbow ball pistol could be very nice for the Inquisitor. That said, it's also really nice to have the Inferno pistol in tier 2, so there's a bit of diminishing returns there. If you get the ball pistol in tier 1, then have to get the Inferno pistol in tier 2. It feels kind of like a waste. Flamer Guardsmen coming up really early here for F. I like that play. I think Flamer Guardsmen are amazing in the mirror. Guardsmen do tend to blob a lot. They've got a lot of entities, and so do the Kadashan Devils as well. So Flamers can do a hell of a lot of DPS in the matchup. Last turrets as well can be extremely influential in this matchup, and again, you can counter them pretty effectively using Flamers. And the blocks of cover. Just seeing the Guardsmen there building a block of cover. The heavy cover blocks can be very effective in the ranged firefights when the Sentinels aren't stomping them, until your guys get roasted by flamethrowers because they're all blobbing up around a piece of cover. So yeah, I like the Flamers. Obviously the primary disadvantage is they're shorter range than lasguns, so you can see here they do have to run forward, but you can see the effective damage. If there wasn't the old reliable there from the Kadashans, then the Flamers would have took a hell of a lot of damage. This is a massive overcommitment though by F. No, even if the Kadashans weren't there, you've got to remember the Sentinel on the enemy side is just as fast as your Sentinel, so could have easily hunted down that Sentinel there of F. I don't know why F was so desperate there to try and kill some Guardsmen. It seems very strange. On the plus side for F, one of the Guardsmen here doesn't have their Sergeant yet, so it'd be very expensive to reinforce those 4 models. So instead, Feg is going to be purchasing his Sergeant and then reinforcing them. But the good thing for F is that takes that squad of Guardsmen out of the game for a good bit of time. So he's not going to lose quite as much map as he otherwise may have, but pretty bad play, honestly. I don't know why that Sentinel went in for that stomp. That was very weird. And now this puts you at a big disadvantage without the Sentinel. You're in trouble, because the Sentinel can kind of counter everything 1v1, and it doesn't bleed like all the rest of the IG units, so that's a problem. As noted though, the Heavy Weapons team does a hell of a lot of damage to the Sentinel, and can the lasgun poke finish off the Sentinel? Wow, coming very, very close. Kadashan's here running into melee, which is dubious when there is a Power Sword Commissar there and Flamers, even with the fire resist that Kadashans get. Wow, do the Flamers output damage. Look at them on the Guardsmen. Yeah, I love the Flamers in this matchup. They're so powerful. Honestly, I would even consider going double Flamers, and the Sentinel was mismicroed by Feg, actually slayed by the Chad Commissar with his 17 DPS sidearm, the most powerful sidearm in the game, coming into action once again.
I have no
Inquisitor did a good job there, tying up the heavy weapons team, using the flank to get around, but it's frustrating because Feg would have obviously wanted to have the Inquisitor there to use a Hammer of the Witches on the Commissar to control him a bit. I'm sure the damage of the Guardsman got amplified a lot from the ability of that Power Sword on the Commissar. And looks like there's going to be an attempt at a gem bash here. Not sure how successful it's going to be. The heavy weapons team will be able to set up once again, I believe. No energy right now for a shotgun blast from the Kadashan Devils. These Guardsmen tied up in melee by the Commissar. Heavy weapons team will need to refocus. The problem for the heavy weapons team is the Sentinel cannot be suppressed. And once again, man, look at these Guardsmen roasting the Kadashans. Guardsmen do need to get out, though. They're really overstaying right now. They're in melee with Kadashan Devils. They do very well with their flamethrowers, not so well with their bayonets against Kadashan Devils, and they are super low. 20 HP, less than 20 HP. Sentinel is always there to chase them down, and that is what the Sentinel should be doing now. Doesn't even need to, because of the old reliable there from the Kadashan Devils, and there goes the Flamer Guardsman. Wow, a very sloppy IG mirror right now. I mean, the Flamer Guardsmen did great. They put the pressure on. They caused the enemy to overcommit. They did fantastic DPS to the Kadashans, and then they should have retreated. But they stayed in for far too long there. So both players actually opting to replace their Sentinels. I guess that makes sense. I think when your opponent loses their Sentinel, it kind of justifies you replacing yours. Otherwise you risk falling behind too much. But the Inquisitor shouldn't be able to kill the Sentinel here, just not enough DPS. Double repair support on the Sentinel brings it to 30 HP per second heals. The DPS of the Inquisitor is only, I think, well, it's somewhere between 30 and 35 DPS by default, so yeah, pretty hopeless. It'll be interesting to see how the T2s compare though. The heavy weapons team will probably be a bit more useful in army versus army fights, but the Kadashan Devils as side-capping units will be completely uncontestable. Your best bet would be Flamethrower Guardsmen, but they're still not going to win 1v1 because of the abilities the Kadashan Devils get to control units. In spite of all the sloppiness, or perhaps because of all the sloppiness being mutual on both sides, the game is extremely close in terms of economics, in terms of military, in terms of VPs. The players are pretty close, so I guess we're gonna wait for some decisive action in Tier 2, but it seems every time there's a piece of decisive action or something big happens, the victim player makes a comeback because the enemy makes a silly mistake. Like these Kadashans right now, staying in way too long there against the heavy weapons team who was setting up. I guess they wanted the kill. They didn't get too far off, but I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, IG never play this sort of brazenly, ordinarily. It's all about winning the attritional game, so why are we going for squad wipes left, right and centre here? It just seems weird. Interesting to note that these Guardsmen here for F don't have their Sergeant. Obviously that's intentional, that is to reduce the upkeep that he's paying. He just wants to use these Guardsmen primarily for repair support and map control, which is fine. I don't disagree with that. But here we go, we've got Seraf, also known as Feg, calling in a Bane Wolf. That's one of the unique things that you can do as an Inquisitor. No other Imperial Guard hero has access to this unit, and it's going to be very powerful. Or will it? Because there is already a las cannon, because F is actually tier 2 themselves. Now, bit of an awkward map for the las cannon. There's a lot of line of sight blockers here, so we'll see how it fares. Inquisitor's obviously moving up in an attempt to tie up that las cannon, but the Sentinel now has the missile launcher upgrade. Gonna get a pretty nice stomp off there. Let's see how this works out. Las cannon will get a point blank shot, but the Bane Wolf is trading with the las cannon. And I think this Bane Wolf is going to die, and that is a really bad situation for Feg. Bane Wolf is not cheap. Not quite as expensive as a walker, but definitely more expensive than a typical transport. To get that Banewolf and to not actually get any gens bashed, that is a really bad situation for Feg. Feg really going to be on the back foot right now. Economy is looking quite equal. A lot of resources obviously being pumped in by F in order to try and kill that Banewolf. We've got that missile launcher on the Sentinel. We've got the las cannon. Do we see any other upgrades coming out? No, we still just got default Guardsman and Sergeant Guardsman. So nice and cheap on the Guardsman here from F. That's going to help his economy quite a lot. And he is going to return the favour with a Chimera and a vehicle of his own. Now the AV potential for Feg is perhaps not quite as strong without having a heavy weapons team. But he is the Inquisitor and he does still have a Sentinel, so we could see the Inferno pistol coming out, which is a melter DPS ranged weapon, good against all targets. And it's honestly a really good upgrade in this matchup anyway, because the Judgment ability from it, doing AoE damage, will be very strong against Guardsman squads. We can see the missile launcher on the Sentinel as well, and in fact we're going to be seeing a Manticore coming out here from Feg, and that actually will do pretty decent damage to vehicles if it can hit them. The problem is, typically vehicles, especially transports, they're very fast moving. You're going to struggle to hit them with your Manticore. Ooh, Hell Fury striking the Guardsman here. This could be pretty brutal. No, they're going to be alright. Chimera kind of saves the day, really, forcing these guys off before they could get the kill on the Sentinel. But here comes the first Manticore strike. This is the first one of the game. Will it kill a Sentinel? Let's see what it can do. 2 decent missiles so far. Kills a couple of Guardsmen, but no. The final 2 missiles do not land correctly. I mean, that is kind of just a roll of the dice. You know, as the F here with the Sentinel, he didn't know where the Manticore strikes could have landed. They could very well have landed in this direction instead of over here. But you just got to try and make an educated guess and get the fuck out of there. And he got lucky. He got out.
The victory point is slipping away.
So, Manticore versus Chimera, I mean, you know, in the actual army versus army fights, you would think that's going to advantage the Chimera quite a lot. And now that the Chimera is out, we're going to start seeing some Guardsman upgrades coming in.
Reporting enemy contact. We are under attack.
13 Guardsmen. Is 13 Guardsmen more than normal? I thought it was 12. What is it, 6? Yeah, wait, why does this squad have 13 Guardsmen? It's bugged. I've never seen that before in my life. Every cast, we discover a new bug. You know, they're down to 12. How the fuck did that happen? How the hell did they get 13 Guardsmen? They were 10 without a sergeant. That is... I'm very confused. Oh well. Oh well, it's back to normal now, so let's not worry about it. That'll just be one for the logs. Just another Dawn of War 2 bug. Map control looking very strong for F right now. The problem that I've been thinking about and not able to express for a while now is there's no snare to pin the Manticore down, so then you can kill it with a... Sorry, to pin the Chimera down, so then you can kill it with the Manticore. Now, if it was the other way around, and the Commissar had the Manticore, you could drop down the mines of the Commissar Global, hit them with Old Reliable to blow them up instantly, not having to wait for them to arm, and then that would put a tremendous snare on the Chimera, which then means you can hit it with a Manticore and blow it up without it being able to dodge it. Obviously, same thing applies if you have a las cannon heavy weapons team that can snare it, then you can follow up with the Manticore in a nice little 1-2. But Feg has none of these tools right now. We don't even see the Inferno pistol, which itself doesn't snare, but at least it would be an alternative source of AV. I mean, Manticore right now, killing a few heavy weapons team models, I guess it's okay. A bit of a strange heavy weapons team. Hammer of the Witches there, that was obviously not going to kill. Only does 100 damage. They had 150 HP on one model. So a bit weird. Wow, F's Sentinel getting very aggressive there, trying to take out the Manticore. Really not worth it when there's double Guardsmen stood here and a base turret. And it's now going to be a primary Psyker out for F. And looking at the compositions here, I think F is in a fantastic position. Primary Psyker, pretty good unit to be using against enemy IG. The Shockwave ability will do amazing damage, particularly in retreat when things tend to blow up quite a lot. But as you can see, even just the basic splash damage attack there from the Psyker will do great damage against Guardsmen and Cadishans, because that attack does have splash. And all these Guardsmen blow up so much. Psyker, however, should not be leading the lines here. Okay, here we go. Okay! Okay! F just needs to type F, because wow, was that a series of misplays. Firstly, the Psyker was way too far forward and had to just soft retreat back. I don't know why it's so far forward. The Psyker has like 44 to 52 range, whereas normal units only have 38 range. Then the Chimera was unable to be microed, just pure miss-micro, eats a load of Manticore shots and gets wiped, and because of that the Manticore then lands on the top and wipes out a Guardsman, I believe. I didn't see it, but I assume that's what happened. And then the Sentinel also was hit over here, and it ran down and it didn't have enough HP, and obviously F was too concerned about trying to keep his Sentinel alive. By the time he realised, oh shit, I need to move my Chimera, that is a Manticore barrage, it was too late. And the Chimera and the poor Guardsman embarked within it were blown to smithereens. F isn't done yet though. F does have a significant VP advantage with 288 VPs to the now less than 90 for Feg. Feg is going to be going for Ogryns, and F is going to be opting for another heavy weapons team, probably going to be using the heavy bolter on this one, and some stormtroopers. Wonder if these stormtroopers are going to be going for the melter gun upgrade and trying to hunt down the Manticore. I don't actually think that would be worth it right now. F has a serious lack of mainline fighting capabilities. Yeah, just get the hotshot lasguns and have something that can actually fight in the main lines. Primary Psyker, I believe it does psychic damage, which actually will be pretty damn good against the Ogryns in terms of DPS, but obviously the Ogryns can just charge at him and force him off because the Ogryns are so tanky. And we finally see that Inferno pistol. Feels like that is super late, but what can you do? Here comes the Commissar. Combined with the suppression here, going to be very effective, but the Manticore is coming in onto the heavy weapons team, and F has not seen it. Okay, he does see it eventually. Has to retreat that heavy weapons team. The heavy bolter is going to be pretty effective in controlling these Ogryns, but of course the Manticore is always there, ready to prevent it. Last cannon being used quite nicely on the top there, just to cap. Not really much purpose for it elsewhere. Obviously this position here with the Manticore, there's not a whole lot you can do to try and kill it with a last cannon. You're going to get hit by the base turrets. It's a great map actually for the Manticore now that I think about it. You know, you can just keep it sat here in your base, protected by both base turrets on either side, line of sight blockers, and you can hit probably all the way over to here, the vast majority of the map. So that is pretty nice. But F is trying to stay in this. F is actually winning still on the VPs by a large degree. I'm not entirely sure why he's using the slow. Well, I guess that ability, it not only slows, it also makes them take increased damage, but if he got the upgrade for Terrifying Visions, he could have actually suppressed them, and then they obviously wouldn't be able to shoot. Oh my goodness, the old reliable there, killing the Primary Psyker. I mean, F stayed in way too long there with the Primary Psyker. And yeah, I think Terrifying Visions would have been a fantastic upgrade instead there, so you could suppress the Cadishans. Then of course them take longer to move in and tie you up in melee, and they can't shoot either. Then the Psyker would actually fare pretty good 1v1 against the Cadishans. Obviously the Psyker, it isn't a unit for 1v1. That is not the point of the Psyker. He is a supporting sub-commander, he is a force multiplier. He needs to be stood behind Guardsmen, where he can output his damage at long range and use supporting abilities, but obviously F right now, he's lost too many units, so forced to use that Psyker for capping, and it gets wiped, and the Gasm down here looking like they're in a precarious position, but the VPs are very low. F is just throwing things at VPs, trying to distract right now, but I don't think it's good enough because... Ooh, this is kind of close. The VPs are draining really quick, but yeah, no, he's fine, I think. Yeah. He's fine. So, that's it. I think that's the game now. F was just throwing things at the VPs there to try and get that VP victory, and wow, I didn't actually realise how close that was going to be with 2 VPs left for Theg. F nearly stole that game. A real chaotic game of back and forths here. Looks like F is going to try and make a play with the Stormtroopers to get something going on, but the problem is he would need to decap 2 VPs and cap 1 VP, or cap 2 VPs. It's just not possible. How's he going to do that? The Guardsmen in the middle here are not going to get away with that, surely. And the Stormtroopers here, they can get the decap with their infiltration, but then they're going to go visible. And Feg's seen them anyway. The Bane Wolf should be able to kill them before they can finish the cap. Maybe not, with the weird way they're split up at the moment. No, I think it will. Look at the damage. Yeah, that's too much damage. Oh, there's going to be a Manticore strike. Yeah. Sorry, Stormtroopers. Well done, lads. You got the decap, but that's going to be the end of that one. Okay, F, I get it. I get it. It's close, but I'm sorry, mate. You lost. You need to concede. What are you doing? Yeah, there you go. He concedes. Ah, you got to commend him trying to the last minute, you know, going for some special spec op tactics there with the Stormtroopers. I mean, it was... there's no way. How were you ever going to be able to either cap fully 2 VPs or cap fully 1 VP and decap the other 2? It wasn't going to happen, but he tried anyway. And you've got to respect that. Tenacity can help you win a whole lot of games in Dawn of War 2, but there you go. A little bit of IG action. I do like the IG mirror, actually. I find it pretty fun. Epitomising the ranged firing lines. The only thing that spoils it, I think, is the Kadashan Devils constantly knocking things over with old reliables. That's kind of lame. But there you have it. That's going to be all from your boy Torpid. I am signing out.